action through public-private sanitation partnerships. I am delighted to welcome Ms. Swapna Devi Reddy, Director, Swachh Bharat Mission, Grameen, Department of Drinking Water Sanitation, Ministry of Jal Shakti, Government of India. Ma'am, your invaluable contributions to the Swachh Bharat Mission and to the India Sanitation Coalition have been truly very inspiring and beyond the words. We are deeply grateful for your constant support and guidance to ISC. We continue to strengthen our mission and vision. Thank you, ma'am, for always standing with us in this journey, and thank you for joining us today, given your busy schedule. Now I invite our first speaker, Ms. Aman Pannu. She is head of the corporate communications and CSR, DCM Shriram Limited, and President Shriram Foundation. Ms. Aman Pannu is a seasoned social development and communication leader with over 26 years of cross-sectoral experiments spanning agriculture, chemical, retail, and consumer industries. She currently serves as head of corporate communications and CSR at DCM Shriram Limited. Thank you, Ms. Pannu, for joining us. I would like to invite Mr. Ashwini Saxena, CEO GMR Varalakshmi Foundation. I invite Mr. Soumitra Mandal, Sattva Consulting. Soumitra Mandal is a partner at Sattva Consulting and a former senior civil servant with over 2 decades of distinguished service in the Government of India. He spent nearly a decade in telecom sector working across diverse portfolios and was with the Ministry of External Affairs for close to 5 years. In subsequent assignment at Niti Aayog and the Cabinet Secretariat, he played a pivotal role in driving the flagship national initiatives in the social development sector, including the aspirational district programs. At Sattva, Soumitra leads engagement with foundations, multilateral organizations, corporations, and government stakeholders, bringing his extensive policy experience to strengthen high-impact social development strategies. Thank you, Mr. Soumitra, for joining us. Now I invite Ms. Rupali Agarwal, Head CSR NOR. Rupali is a development professional with over 18 years of experience, including more than a decade in CSR, with leading corporates like GMR, Relaxo Footwears, and NOR Burmese, India. She holds a MA in social work, MPhil in sociology, and Masters in public health from University of Liverpool as a Commonwealth scholar. Her expertise span strategic planning, project management, social policy, and research. I am happy to invite Mr. Vaibhav Chauhan, AGM HCL Foundation. Vaibhav is an expert in development strategy, CSR compliance, governance with over a decade of experience. He holds BTech from NIT Kurukshetra and MA in economics. He is the Associate General Manager at HCL Foundation for 11 years, and he has led thematic areas of education, livelihood, waste management, and managed CSR compliances and governance for the company. Thank you, Vaibhav, for joining us. Ma'am, Mr. Ashwini he'll come, he'll join. So, ma'am, I request you to start the session.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for having me here. I also congratulate ISC FICCI for the wonderful organization of this program. In this session, we'll see how climate change are affecting the wash services and how public-private partnerships can help in improving the climate resilient wash systems, what are the low models, how we can leverage the private-public partnerships to improve our systems. So without further ado, I'll just go to Ms. Aman Pannu. Let's discuss something about how DCM Shriram has led its initiatives on sanitation, water, and rural infrastructure.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I know that this is called the graveyard shift, so my job is to keep everybody awake, right? So I'll try to make it a little lively, keep it a little bit interactive. So maybe we'll have some question answers also, so that we know that you all are paying attention, right? So, with DCM Sriram, we have a very strong legacy. And I was telling ma'am also how I introduced the organization is 136 years of doing nation building, doing philanthropy. Our founder, Sriram, was somebody who set up Sriram College of Commerce, Lady Sriram College. So this was something which is very, very embedded in terms of giving back to communities. Now, we have manufacturing locations in Kota in Rajasthan, Bharuch in Gujarat, and Hardoi and Lakhimpur Kheri in Uttar Pradesh. So across the locations, I think, if I go a decade back, and I'm sure if there are people from the sector, they would, voice my opinion. When we went to the board, our conversations were all activity led. If we were talking sanitation, we would not go beyond number of toilets, right? Agree? Yes. Right? Now, I think in this decade, there is a journey that we all have taken, and that journey is about how that shift has happened from sanitation to a climate conversation, right? I think maybe a decade back, people would think कि there is no connection. ये दोनों बातें कैसे मिल रही हैं? Sanitation अलग बात है, climate अलग बात है. But today, all of us agree that there is a strong integration in these conversations. And I'll give you 3 quick examples for that. So when we talk about, and ma'am asked me on 3 of the areas that we are working on, so sanitation, water and rural infrastructure. So sanitation is an easy pick, right? So we work a lot on solid waste management. Currently we have a program in Bharuch, and we are very happy that this is Gram Panchayat in Bharuch. It's called Jhagadia. There's a population of about 16,000 people, right? And in this area, what we've been able to achieve is 100% source segregation. We've created Gujarat's first sanitation park. What that sanitation park does in Nashri, there is GHG emissions that it has reduced, right? So when we talk about the climate lens, that's the impact that has been able to build. If we are saying what is the number of times that the deliveries are happening there, if that's reduced, again GHG emissions are coming down, right? So that's the climate lens to a sanitation or a solid waste management program. The second piece, when we talk about water conservation, right? I think to look at water conservation again from a groundwater piece is something which is again a decade-long conversation. Earlier it was kitne ponds bana diye. Now our conversation is, when we talk about groundwater, how much have we been able to give to that community, right? Is there a scientific way of measuring that? All CSR, all corporates are looking at this journey also, right? So I think here also we are saying how with the Jal Shakti department, or if we look at the NDCs, right? There is an alignment in that conversation which is coming through today, right? The third piece is the rural infrastructure. Now again here one of the examples that I'll give is we've done a lot of tree plantations, right? Earlier tree plantation was just a number which you would do because as a manufacturing company you would have a compliance and say itne ped laga diye, right? Today that conversation is shifting. You're talking about carbon sinks. You're talking about carbon sequestration. So here also, for example, in the Gujarat coastal region, by this financial year, we would have planted 1 million trees, right? And our conversation there exactly is on flood. It's on how do we make sure that the carbon sinks are prepared. So I think for all of these examples that I'm giving you, the conversation has shifted from a vertical to a horizontal mode. All of us were only saying sanitation is only about building toilets. Okay, we might add a layer of behavior change. But here it's a vertical conversation now, where you have to look at climate resilience as an integrated model. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Panuji. You have mentioned about the holistic approach which you are taking nicely. Also, one thing which has interested me is 100% source segregation, because MOJS, we at MOJS have been continuously trying to have a behavioral change where people segregate their source 100%. But yes, we have improved a lot, but there is more scope for improvement. Now let's ask Ashwini ji. Welcome, Ashwini ji. Ashwini Saxena ji is CEO from GMR Varalakshmi Foundation. So I know you have worked a lot in Andhra Pradesh. So how do you feel that, how do you think that we have to integrate climate risk assessment into sanitation and waste management systems?
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much, and apologies for the delay. Got stuck in the traffic. Um I think we started for sanitation in Andhra, specifically in Rajam, somewhere in the year 1997, and I think the the focus that point of time was to start community toilets somewhere in 97, 98, and it should be toilets which are adapted to the local environment. That was first. So, so in a sense, when you're looking at climate change related assessments to be kept in mind while designing a toilet, three, four things come to one's mind. One is to make sure that it is adapted to the local climate, which is one. Second, it has to be essentially community led, because the local solutions, community led solutions, would be more effective than anything from outside. Three, it is also going to be very closely integrated with your water management, because water is an essential component for sanitation. So I think these were the key things that we kept in mind when we started off, making sure that the toilets are designed as per the local requirements. And mind you, this was no Swachh Bharat mission at that point of time. Toilets which are going to be set up in the bus stand, where a lot of communities are going to come around, a toilet in a community where they do not have access to individual toilets in their homes. Perhaps it was not even a concept at that point of time to build a toilet there so that the community can use it. It's a pay for success model for making sure that it is sustainable in the long run. It is connected to a system which is not a full-fledged sanitation system, which we are now working with ISC, with your support in Rajam, but to make sure that it has each toilet block which is being constructed in the communities is connected to a system of its own waste disposal. So I think treatment and waste disposal for toilets again remains a very close important aspect to be covered, and the training of the community workers themselves so that they maintain the toilets, they run those toilets, and which makes it as a very unique model in those days, that community is paying for the toilets, using them, and themselves maintaining it also. So from a climate lens, if you look at it, right, appropriate technology, looking at community led solutions, ensuring that the final waste disposal and management is taken care of. I think these are some of the things which come to my mind when we talk about designing toilets from a community lens.
Thank you, Saxena ji. I understand about the importance of O&M, because we in Swachh Bharat Mission Gramin, we have constructed a lot of assets across the country. Right now the focus will be on operation and maintenance of those, because if we don't maintain the constructed assets, then it is of no use constructing. So it's a very good thing that you raise the importance of operation and maintenance. Now we'll go to Mr. Soumitra Mandalji. I understand that you have a lot of experience in ESG and impact driven CSR investments. So how do you feel that we can integrate climate wash linkages in ESG roadmaps of the companies better?
थैंक यू मैम. गुड आफ्टरनून टू ऑल ऑफ यू. थोड़ा सा लंबा होगा आंसर, चलेगा मैम? इट विल बी अ बिट लॉन्गिश, but I'll be cross questioning as well what Aman said just now, so it will be really important to keep you all awake. So basically,
I think everyone had a great lunch.
So I'll basically break my answer into three parts. One is why we are looking at why we want the climate wash linkage to happen, and how it should be done by the corporates, what all should be done, and lastly, what is our experience with working with those corporates who have done it successfully. So why it is so important? Because over the last decade, if we see the entire journey of CSR, So see, private philanthropic capital, it is rising at a rate of roughly around 10 to 12% CAGR, and we have the data of last financial year. So the total amount of money that we got from private philanthropic is roughly around 1.3 lakh crores. We won't compare it with how government of India spends, because I am an ex-civil servant. I mean the entire, if we see the philanthropic space, so government of India is spending, the public funding is roughly around 96% and the private funding is roughly around 4%. Now CSR has rose from, I mean, almost 3.5 times. So when the CSR law was enacted, roughly around 10,000 crores was the total amount of CSR spent was roughly around 10,000 crores. Now it has risen to 35,000 crores. The number of corporates who were spending have also risen. The number of corporates who were spending more than their mandated amount, that used to be, when the CSR law came into being, that used to be roughly around 10%. And any guesses as to what would be that percentage of corporates who are spending much more than their CSR amount? So that has risen to 61%. So I mean, hats off to the CSR heads, Ashwini sir, Aman, Rupali, all. I mean, the corporates are really spending a good amount of money in terms of I mean, beyond their mandates. Amongst the thematic areas, now education and healthcare have always been leading the spend. They have been taking the major chunk of the CSR amount. So education and healthcare roughly encompass around 60% of the CSR that has been spent since last 10 years. So now behind this the rosy picture, there is a, I mean, there is a very, I mean, mostly because of today's conversation, it's a paradox. So sanitation, ma'am is aware, SBM 1 was launched in 2015-16, I suppose, and 2014. So since 2014-15 until 2019-20, the amount of CSR that has been spent in sanitation rose very linearly. Unfortunately, since 2019-20 and also post the SBM 2 was launched, though the government spending has improved, the amount of CSR spend that is into wash and sanitation has been declining. So it's very ironical that India, which still battles with severe, I mean, water stress and I mean, there is a persistent, I would say, hygiene crisis. Still, the funding in terms of sanitation and wash is coming down. So I'm still answering the why part as to why we need the climate wash linkage. Geographically also, what is happening is that around 3-4 states which are the leading states of India, this Maharashtra, Karnataka, Gujarat, which house almost around 22% population of India, they are getting major chunk of the CSR, roughly around 37% of CSR. And states like Jharkhand or Assam, the northeastern states, Bihar, which are home to almost around 37 to 38% population of India, they are getting only 10 to 12% of CSR. And these are the states wherein the amount of spend in sanitation has also sharply declined. And these are the states wherein we need more spend in the sanitation and wash thematic areas. The other paradox is, wherever the spend is going, even in the leading states as well as in the backward states as well, I mean the states which are still struggling with the funds, the major funding is going into the visible items, that is the plants and the tanks. So as it was just pointed out, so it is extremely important to spend in the invisible things like septic tank emptying. It's so important. Hauling of sludge, it is extremely important. Operation and maintenance, extremely important. But the spend, the major chunk of the spend doesn't go there. The major chunk of the spend goes to the infrastructure building. So progressively, what is happening is it is a kind of build and abandon kind of cycle is happening. See, usually what happens, the CSR cycle spans for roughly around 1 to 3 years, maximum 3 years. And true sanitation change, in fact, building viable markets or mainstreaming circularity, it takes almost decades. It takes at least a decade for all these things to happen. So this is one of the irony that is happening. Beyond this, again, in terms of policy, there is a lot of policy fragmentation that is compounding the challenge. So ma'am is aware now sanitation is split across various departments. So it's split across urban development. Some part is with the water department, some part is with the environment department. In different states, it's also again split to a couple of more departments. So what happens is there are overlapping areas, and that's why the accountability is very less, and hence the enforcement is weak. So this is another challenge. Then urban local bodies are also not having enough revenue stream to basically do the operation and maintenance on a consistent basis, because the kind of property tax collection is really less. So that is another challenge. Why wash and climate should be linked. Another aspect I would say, or rather, I think these three are the most pressing ones. Now, beneath these problems, actually, there lies a very powerful opportunity. So, if sanitation is repositioned not as a philanthropy, but as a integral element of climate strategy, that would make a lot of difference. So how? See now what happens is that we all are aware wastewater and sludge are amongst the most, I would say, the fastest source of emission in India. They are emitting methane, and methane is 28 times more powerful than carbon dioxide. So the why part is very clear, that this is why climate wash linkage should be done. Now how it should be done? So it is extremely important for the corporates to understand that sanitation should actually sit besides water, it should sit besides carbon when you are developing your ESG strategy. So when you are developing your ESG roadmap, it is extremely important to build such KPIs, for example, which are outcome based. For example, desludging coverage could be one of the KPIs which could be measured. Water security could be one of the KPIs which could be measured. Then worker safety, of course, I couldn't speak on the challenges that the workers are facing in terms of safety. Worker safety could be one of the KPIs. So this is how, if the sanitation is made a part of the ESG strategy, if it is seen as a climate strategy and an integral element of climate strategy, this could be addressed. While building the ESG strategy, in fact, if the corporates also, while undertaking the materiality assessment, they also look into the priorities and gaps of the water and waste, and look into the opportunities, also integrate decarbonization deeply with the water conservation strategies. These are some of the methods by which the wash climate linkage could be done. I will share a couple of examples, because through our experience of working with the corporates, because we have worked very closely in designing their CSR strategy. We have been working very closely in designing their ESG roadmaps as well. So what we understand is that progressively the business pillar, the ESG pillar and the CSR pillar, they have to be seen as very interconnected pillars. So they have to be seen as the three vertices of a triangle. So unless these three pillars speak with each other, I would say the agility towards the solution will be extremely difficult. Wherever this has been done, in whichever company or corporate this has been done, I would say they are really reaping a lot of benefit for themselves as well as for the society. To cite only two examples, three examples rather. So one of the very leading engine oil manufacturing company, you all must be knowing the name. I'm not naming the company. So for them, the reuse of the used oil is a major pollutant. So at the ecosystem level, they are addressing this, that the engine oil, it should not be reused because it is a source of major pollution. So at an ecosystem level, they are addressing through their ESG roadmap. Through their CSR, what they are doing, they are basically putting their CSR in increasing the awareness of the truck drivers and the mechanics. Why not to reuse the engine oil? So here it's such a beautiful way they have actually integrated their ESG and CSR strategy. Then we have also seen one Swedish social enterprise with whom we had partnered to basically recycle black and grey water into making compost for exotic vegetables. So there what has happened by doing so, they have really empowered the women agri entrepreneurs in improving the crop quality as well as basically increasing the yield, increasing the crop season. So it's a clear example of how sanitation can lead to inclusive growth. The third, where we have partnered with Sadhan. Basically, we are trying to build the capacity of a number of microfinance institutions who lend for climate resilient products, such as biodigesters, you can say solar pumps, drip irrigation. Here what they are doing is that the access to credit is directly linked to the wash of the smallholders. So this is how, so your basically sustainability linked loan, what we call, is now being given to such organizations who have matured a bit. So this is how it is being done by some of the corporates. Of course, it has picked up, it is picking up pretty well. It has picked up pretty well. So for the corporates, it would be really important to make this transition. They have already transitioned from a very compliance driven CSR to problem solving CSR, but now it would be also extremely important to make this transition towards a climate responsive ESG, wherein the CSR is also linked. And whichever corporates drive this transition, they'll not only close India's sanitation gaps, but they'll be also leading in building a system that would be more functional, that will be carbon free, and that will be really equitable. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mundal. I feel one thing which really struck me was your idea that sanitation should be a part of climate strategy. Maybe we'll think about it later.
Yes, that is important because CSR is still it comes from 2% of the profit.
Yeah.
Whereas ESG you are spending from your main revenue.
True.
So there the corporate doesn't have any limitation.
True.
So that's why it is important once sanitation starts sitting there in ESG, it would make a lot of difference.
It's a very interesting idea. Thank you. Now we'll go to Ms. Rupali Agarwalji from North Bremse. So can you tell me how corporate CSR will evolve into a more climate responsive system level driver for change in sanitation sector?
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. And it's my pleasure to be here. So before answering your question, I would like to introduce my organization, which is not very known to everyone. So sometimes people mistaken NOR by the name product of soup. So we have nothing to do with the soup. So company's name is Knorr Bremse, and we are a 120-year-old German manufacturing company. So, and in India, we have a presence since last more than 3 decades, since 1993. And the company is into manufacturing business of two verticals, railway and commercial vehicle. So we can say that we are in a mission of providing safe mobility and environment friendly mobility in terms of road and railways both. And in terms of philanthropic initiative, we are also having a separate social arm by the name of Knaub Ramsey Global Care. And as a company, we have chosen SDG 6 as a main focus area to implement our social initiative. And the company has presence across 30 countries across the globe. And wash is not just a problem in India. And you can see that how the company a German company has picked SDG 6 as a core mandate. So that means that wash is across all over the world, though the intensity may vary. So in India, we may have higher intensity, more problems with respect to wash as compared to the other countries, but wash itself is a problem. And it's not just about water and sanitation, but it touches upon all different aspects of the human development. So wash is linked with the health, wash is linked with the education, wash is linked with the climate action as well. Water, obviously it's there. So globally, 1.4 million deaths are linked with the wash. 60% of diarrheal deaths are because of the unsafe hygienic practices. And we know that in India, 23% of adolescent girls used to get dropout because of the lack of facility of toilet. So this is the scenario, and the wash is also leading to the unsafe sanitation practices. And because of the unsafe sanitation practices, it's leading towards the methane emission and contributing towards the GHG emission as well. So itself, it's a large gamut creating a lot of problems which need to be addressed. And daily we know that in India we are producing 170,000 of tons of solid waste on daily basis. So the problem is huge. So earlier days we see that problem of waste in the urban cities more, but gradually the problem is moving towards the rural areas as well. So as a company, we have taken this as an important thematic area, and a lot of CSR initiatives are towards addressing these issues. So we are working on two strategies basically. One is towards addressing the urgent need around wash by providing safe drinking water to the communities where it's not available, ensuring toilet facility in the schools and communities. Along with that, we are also creating long-term sustainable solution with respect to wash, which is very much important because it's very easy to build infrastructure to provide immediate support to the community, but to ensure long-term sustainability is a challenge. And what we have identified, what we have learned during our journey, that it's very important to keep community in the heart. Community engagement is going to be a change maker. We can build a toilet easily, but maintaining it, sustaining it is a big challenge. Unless we bring community on board, nothing can be sustained. So whatever project we do, even a simple infrastructure development project, we keep the time frame of at least 2 to 3 years. Because that much time is minimum required to provide hand-holding support to the community and transition the structure to the community to sustain and maintain. That is for the basic kind of projects. But when we talk about the long-term projects, providing long-term sustainable solution to the waste management kind of issues, then a longer framework and commitment is required from the CSR. So I believe that CSR is not just about ticking that we have allocated the 2% of funds in certain projects. It's about the commitment that what we want to do, how we want to do, and what kind of change we want to see over a period of time. And whether it has to be a sustainable kind of model or just to provide some kind of facility for a shorter duration. So I think it's a long journey, a lot of challenges are there, and everyone has to come together to fight the challenge of waste management and climate action as well. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Now we'll go to Mr. Vaibhav Chauhanji from HCL Foundation. Can you tell me how your foundation is working to create climate resilient villages?
Right. So thank you, ma'am. Thanks, Vicky, for this opportunity as well. I hope I'm audible. Yeah. So I'll just give a context of the foundation and our organization first. So we are placed slightly differently than other foundations. Firstly, we come from the HCL group, which has a long history of philanthropy, and different, organizations within the group are there who does such work. And I represent HCL Tech and HCL Foundation. HCL Foundation works in 22 states and with a lot of different context awareness we have and on a lot of different thematic areas. We for everybody we are we work with the NGO funding model, and also we work directly. So that means we are the funders, we are the NGOs, we design our project and implement them, partner with the government directly. So I particularly represent that group which works on the ground. We have a team, a strong team of 400 people in UP and in Tamil Nadu, right? Coming to particularly the sanitation and the waste management context, we have been working in 619 Gram Panchayats on this, and in parallel we have a big program on waste management in urban context as well, working with the Noida Authority, Greater Noida Authority, and now working with Agra and Prayagraj to improve their solid waste systems. Then on particularly in sanitation in villages, we have been for the last 10 years working on that, and started with the giving our contribution to the Swachh Bharat success. And there also our focus was on working with the community and trying to see where the government is putting in the infrastructure, try to see how behavior change actually lands and how that behavior is taken up. For the past 3-4 years, we have been really working on both solid waste management and liquid waste management, where we are trying to again bring in the softer component, behavioral change, and also these operation and maintenance things people are saying, because government has been working on putting in these resource recovery centers, but really to make them into a viable operational system, resources are required. So those resources for certain areas wherever we are able to do, we put, and there is of course success, revenue is getting generated. This is basically the context, and it is across different sort of geographies. Rural in UP is dense rural region, and in Tamil Nadu it is very sparsely populated coastal rural region. In coastal areas also we have a campaign to take out marine debris to improve the coastal ecosystem. More than 200 tons of marine debris have been taken out. So divers go there, and that also making sure that that debris that comes out is responsibly managed and recycled. Currently, for the last 1 year, we are working on an integrated model, more than 1 year, partnering with the government of Uttar Pradesh for this climate resilient village concept, where we are looking at the village ecosystem not only from the sanitation waste management perspective, but from the ecological and the water related, and of course agriculture related context. Because we have been working in an integrated manner, we are well placed to work on most of these areas, and we have been working on this wastewater management for some time, and improving the water management system through both natural and other solutions. Now this journey has started where we are looking at the village as a integrated manner, trying to find out technological solutions for reduction in chemical in agriculture, reduction in water usage, trying to improve, reduce, groundwater usage and all these things. So multiple things we are trying in a context around 71 villages in 12 clusters. One of them happens to be a cluster which is a Ramsar site. So it's a unique cluster where water conservation, chemical reduction would also lead to biodiversity improvement. So I'll end with 3 case studies because this is about public-private partnership. One project we are doing in Thoothukudi, which is sort of more than one corporate coming together, and or even the government. We are trying to link 2 micro watersheds where one of cement companies have given their land to pull a supply channel. Uh, One other cement company has given some land and they have contributed. The district authority is, putting in a lot of their support, and we also, as an integrating body, have worked on that. Is improving more than 10 water bodies. Water is getting diverted to, and that will improve more than 500 to 600 farmers. This is one case study. Second, we are trying to find out technology to reduce manual water, your sewage scavenging. This robot that we have placed with the Noida Authority, and we are trying to introduce that in Greater Noida and Agra as well. And as you're saying, operation and maintenance also for 2 years we are along with not just capex, because there needs to be a smooth handover. So mostly this is what I have. A lot of stories and context and cases to talk about, but for now, thanks a lot for the opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Chauhan. I'll go to Aman Panuji. Can you tell me what are the challenges the corporates face in moving from CSR compliance to climate responsive sanitation investments?
So I think, like I said earlier, we'll need to make sure everybody is involved. So here's a quick quiz for everybody here, right? Now that quiz is about sanitation, right? But I think everybody here is a Bollywood buff, I'm sure. So if you can tell me any Bollywood movie which is based on sanitation. Sorry? Toilet Ek Prem Katha. Very good. Any other you can think about? There was a conversation of menstrual health in the morning. Bad man, right? So I think the conversation on sanitation is not something today that the board doesn't understand, right? So the first piece I think which is very, very important when we talk about challenges is everybody understands the importance of sanitation today. And I started with the fact that building toilet blocks to behavior change to climate resilience. That conversation or that needle is really, really moved. And Soumitra spoke about the fact that the investment in sanitation, there's been a dip, right? But while looking at this conversation, I said, okay, it's really not a dip. It's a shift in a higher percentage, because we are talking about climate change or climate resilience and sanitation together, right? So most of us, and while I was looking at the data for DCM Shriram itself, 38% of our spends is on this category, right? So I had given examples on SWM, on water, on tree plantation. If we look at all of these together, naturally your spends would also increase. So I think for all of us as corporates, we need to look at the climate resilience lens and sanitation lens integrated when we're doing that. So a couple of points I think where we say what are the problems that we face as CSR. The first one I think is how the shift from short-term conversation needs to shift to a long-term conversation. When we go to a board, our conversations are always year on year, right? Our plans are year on year. How does CSR start thinking on a long-term vision perspective? Then only will you be able to say, so if I say, oh, in Bharuch or in the Gujarat coastal region, I'm going to plant X number of mangroves, and it's only a yearly target. But I don't know what it's going to achieve in 5 years or 10 years. So your vision also needs to shift in that direction, right? The second piece I think which is very, very important is that there is a lot of measurement gaps that exist. From different CSR, the standardization of units is not happening. So if we talk about what are the methane emissions, if we talk about even in terms of mangroves, all of us struggle, okay, so how much carbon has been sequestered, and all as different corporates, or how much of groundwater has been saved. And I was speaking to one of our colleagues in ITC, because we partnered with ITC in only a learning journey. Right? So where we're saying, okay, they've already developed a matrix where they're understanding how groundwater is going to be measured. So we're talking to them and saying, can you just give us the tool? Why should we be using the development money to reinvent the wheel if there's already something that exists? So I think that's one of the aspects that definitely, as corporates, as people in the sector, as the government, the sharing definitely needs to be there, right? It's a collaborative effort that we're talking about. And taking into the, I think the third conversation is all about ecosystem, right? Today also we're talking about collaboration. Collaboration will not happen if we don't look at funds, investments coming together, because everybody knows that CSR is only a catalytic fund. You cannot replace what the government is doing. You can only, with the bandwidth that we have as corporates, the strength that we have from innovation, from manufacturing, you will bring all of those strengths in, right? So I think that's an aspect that all of us need to work towards and make sure that the challenge becomes a positive for everybody who's working in the sanitation space. The fourth piece, I think, is how do CSR look at the innovation space, right? So this patience funding that we talk about today, or blended finance that we talk about today, CSR or the boards needs to be more open when we are having these conversations. We need to think beyond only saying, okay, humne itne toilet blocks bana liye, right? So if we start working in an innovation mode and you're looking at biodigesters, or we're looking at, a chef-roll technology, which is looking at how aquatic plants are working on wastewater. There are multiple different technologies, but bringing them out there, having conversations with peers, partners to take those to the next level. I think that's very, very important. And the last piece, I think, which I want to focus, because ma'am is also here, there is definitely a need on building on the public policy conversation, right? So the advocacy piece, and I'm sure that, Nana ma'am is also here, Natasha is here. I know you all have been pushing the advocacy piece in a very great direction. But if we say, how does the sanitation and climate outcome also get integrated, right? So if there is a Swachhata Swarikshan which is there, today the ranking is based on, when the entire world is saying, okay, kitna saaf ho gaya. But if there is a climate outcome also conversation that becomes part of that journey, I'm sure there'll be a shift, right? So like Soumitra also mentioned about ESG, at a board level, that conversation becomes very, very important for all of us also, to push that envelope a little more, saying that this is why we're saying we need to invest in innovation, or we need to invest in many more things, or how and why advocacy is important for the work that we are doing. Right? Thank you, ma'am.
You have given some interesting concepts there. I think these are food for thought for us, like long-term solutions, blended financing, innovation and all. So now coming to Saxena ji, can you please give some examples where PPP models in sanitation have yielded good results on climate impact?
Interesting. So, ma'am, I'll certainly answer this, but before that, just wanted to give a thought on what Soumitra said and what Aman was also touching upon. I think the key challenge for CSR to look at, sorry, is this okay? Okay, maybe, yeah, I need to, okay. So, no, the reason why the linkage between CSR spending on sanitation and climate change seem to be disconnected, we need to understand that the value accrual in a climate change process is very long drawn. Those time horizons are just not acceptable to a CSR kind of a clientele. Similarly, so this is the part of how sanitation is going to impact climate change. There is no rubric as of now by which you can say that how is your toilet block or how your solid waste management. It's a small little scale work that we do, which is actually going to lead to reduction in GHG emissions. So even this wishful thinking that ESG matrix would be able to capture it, I think it's misplaced. This is one part. The second part is how climate change itself is going to manifest on your sanitation needs of the country. That again is also not very well understood. Because how much water is today available for a toilet block, tomorrow how much of it is going to happen, not be available, how much groundwater is already contaminated, what could be the future outcomes of that, could there be some flash flood situations by which your toilet block, which was designed for an arid climate zone, may be affected negatively. So, the requirement is that how do you create linking goals between climate change and sanitation. So one example again which comes to my mind from Rajam, where we started the toilet blocks somewhere in 98, it's about 2000 people using those toilets on a daily basis. And it's a small little town, I think not more than 50 square kilometer kind of a place. Till date, there has been no discharge of any waste water out of it which has not been treated. So now obviously we may not be able to tell you how much of uh, you know impact it must have created on the groundwater situations of that region, perhaps not, but surely what we can claim is that yes, because of that 2000 odd people using those 25 odd toilet blocks since 1998-97, not a single drop of water has been discharged without being treated. So that waste has been treated, taken care of. But if I want to report it into my Dow Jones Sustainability Index as to how much impact it has created on GHG emissions, perhaps I'll not be able to calculate it even to the millimicron levels. This is number one. But what is the linking goal that I can pick up? The linking goal is that we also run a 200-bedded hospital there in the same place. It was also set up as the first healthcare facility in the entire region. I was just yesterday talking to the medical director there, and he says that in last so many years we haven't seen any significant outbreaks of diarrhea or cholera, which means that because water is being treated, sanitation is being taken care of, at least in a town like that, they haven't come across any cases of diarrheal deaths. Diarrhea was not reported as one of the key. We were talking to PHFI team to see how we can do some public health program in that region, and one of the key things that came out was diabetes, not diarrhea. So which again is a sign that yes, because of the sanitation facility that you've created in the township, as a 200-bedded hospital which has been serving the communities for last so many years, is not reporting on diarrhea, is a significant signal that you can pick up that yes, sanitation does have an impact. And if sanitation has an impact on diarrheal deaths, obviously climate change mitigation automatically is being taken care of in that sense. So this is one. Another PPP model that we worked upon at a number of places in Delhi here, in Hyderabad is where we repurposed a lot of public toilets for the use on a pay for success model, and which are typically the BMC model, the municipal corporation toilets. And the pay for use model are pure PPP projects. Maintenance is all taken care of from that budget, which comes from that, and they've been usually successful. Similarly, innovation of how a toilet needs to be constructed in a biodiversity zone in Bangalore, that's another example that comes to my mind, that you're talking about a public facility to be created because people would come to that biodiversity zone, but then the toilet has to be designed in such a way that it does not add to any burden on the solid or liquid waste of that region. So these two examples, ma'am, they come to my mind immediately. So I will end up by saying that the linkages between sanitation, water, climate change, these are all having different time horizons, and their units of measurement are a little complex. So if we develop linkages around these, then perhaps it would be easy for any corporate to put resources into it and be able to measure it. For sure, Aman, what you are saying is 100% correct, that even carbon sequestration by mangroves is not standardized. Different varieties of mangroves would have different levels of carbon sequestration, and the entire 6,000 odd kilometers of your coastal line, right from Gujarat to all the way back to Odisha and Bay of Bengal, you'll have to define these numbers in a very different manner altogether. Similarly, for toilet technologies, if we may talk about, coastal regions would have different kinds of toilet requirements. Arid regions like Rajasthan would have very different kinds of needs of toilets. Sensitive areas like Himachal, where we are working, you would need very different kinds of toilets with biodigesters fitted into it. So even the toilet models within the country cannot be standardized. They would have to be contextualized to the local geographical conditions, water conditions, and I think that is the right direction of making sanitation impact climate change in a positive manner.
Thank you, sir. Now coming to Mr. Mondal, in your experience, what do you feel which kind of financial and operational models show the promise for circular waste management and low carbon sanitation systems?
So two kinds of capital Aman has already spoken, but I'll again at the merit of repetition, I'll once again. So actually this the financing and the operational models as per our experience, it is they are still at a very nascent stage. Some of the organizations or the enterprises who have matured a bit, they have only been able to do so because of good philanthropic investments, which Aman has already spoken about, the patient capital. So the first one would, wherein we have seen a good number of results are investments in developing innovations and R&D in order to develop cost-effective solutions. So investments in R&D to develop cost-effective solutions. We have, I mean, here is what the CSRs have been playing a very phenomenal role since last couple of years. I spoke about the some of the thematic areas where the CSR has been going down, but in technology incubation, the amount of CSR spend has been going up since last couple of years, which is a very good sign for the growth of India. With some of the corporates, what they have done, with one of the corporates, we had designed their accelerator program. They are one of the global leaders in cyber security and cloud computing. So with them, we had also partnered with IIT Madras in designing their accelerator program. They identified a couple of water related challenges, one being source contamination, one of them being inefficient distribution. So post this accelerator program, there were 4 enterprises who got equal amounts of CSR from this corporate, and finally they were able to come up with very innovative solutions. One of them was able to build a open source very cost effective water quality detection kit that could be used by the user at the source to test the quality of water. One of them came up with a mobile app for lake restoration through community participation, very innovative. One of them came up with a AIML robotic system which leak detection system, wherein you can immediately monitor as to from where in the water distribution the leak is happening. So some very innovative things which have come up. So this is one kind of funding. Of course, you may be aware, ma'am, that I think Gates Foundation has partnered with one of the leading corporates, and they have come up with the India Sanitation Center of Excellence at IIT Palakkad. And IIT Palakkad now, this center of excellence now houses engineering platforms, and they have all the kinds of lab infra to test the different kind of innovations in wastewater treatment and sanitation. So this is one of the very good investments in R&D. The second investment, of course, Aman spoke about it, that is patient capital, because as Ashwini ji also mentioned, this entire cycle I had also mentioned while answering your first question. This entire cycle takes a lot of time. It takes around at least a decade or so. So it is and the margin at which these enterprises work is very less. So it is extremely important for them to get a lot of patient capital. You would be knowing that the India's textile waste landscape has been there since almost 2 decades, but that also started. I would say it came into the forefront only after getting good amount of philanthropic investment since last couple of years, to the extent that even Honorable PM also spoke about the textile waste landscape in his Man Ki Baat. The third important is the working capital. So what we have realized that these entrepreneurs as well as the waste workers who are into this sector, somehow through government funds or government schemes, they are able to either get the technology or build the technology. But maintaining it and sustaining it is really difficult for them, since the margin at which they work is roughly 1 to 2%, and any unforeseen circumstances can really wipe them off. So working capital is extremely important. How this could be done? I mean, one, of course, support from the central government or the state government. One of the ways is to either provide the land free of cost, or maybe to waive off the entire rent, because this is a major chunk of the operating cost. Second, what we have seen is that there are some microfinance institutions and some who are really providing, who are lending at a very low interest rate with a very long payback period. So, why a long payback period? So that these enterprises, they are able to actually generate good amount of money they can repeat their business cycles, and they can generate good amount of money for paying back the loan. The last one, again, Aman spoke about it, that is blended finance. So, blended finance is really picking up, wherein besides the guarantees, corporates and global foundations, some of the global foundations are also talking about outcome and result linked finance. I spoke about sustainability linked loans. I'm not aware much about how the municipal bonds are working. Of course, I have heard that in Pune city, the municipal bonds are also working in a good way. And lastly, I would say a lot of technical support is required, whosoever is entering into this sector, because this is a highly unregulated and open space wherein the margins are very less. So a lot of technical support would be required in terms of operating models for whichever enterprises are working in this sector. One very good example I would like to cite is how some of the corporates have invested in building the infrastructure and also creating end-to-end chains. One of them is Godrej Consumer Product. This is also available on their website. So Godrej, what they do, they manage their waste from end to end. So right from sourcing to to manufacturing to packaging and even post-consumer disposal. So first they try to generate as less waste as possible, then to reuse that waste, and then to safely dispose it. So in this entire chain, what they have been able to do is not only they have been able to reduce their environmental footprint, but they have also cut down on their own costs. So this is a very good example. I only read on their website. So these are some of the methods of
financing. Thank you, Mondalji. Coming to Ms. Rupali, can you tell me what kind of innovative financial models which can help the corporates and PSUs support climate aligned sanitation projects?
As I mentioned, the problem is mammoth. A lot of waste is getting generated on daily basis. So finance is really required. So infrastructure development is required. Processing units need to be established, which require finances, budgets. CSR alone will not be able to meet the entire requirement. The government funds is already there. SBM has already working on it. Government is allocating funds, but still the requirement is more. We need to explore different models, different way of investing. Like Aman said, blended finance model can be one. And the one example which is live to us is LHI. So LHI is a very good example in front of us that how the corporate, the community is leveraging government fund to build a sustainable model. So I'll give the example of LHI model which I am implementing in Palwal district along with the LHI ISC team. So we are working at a panchayat level. We are working with the community, building the institution, capacity building of the community, and then we are leveraging the government funds to build up the processing units. So infrastructure requirement is going to be fulfilled by the government funds wherever the on-ground implementation is being done by the NGO partner along with the community. So I think firstly there is a need to understand the role, to change from the roles of funder, regulator, implementer and beneficiary to co-partner of the project. That is the basic requirement. before talking about the funds. So once we change the roles and we all work together for a common cause, then alignment becomes easy. Then we have to work on different models, what is feasible as per the situation, as per the location, as per the relationships. So one is the blended finance model where the CSR is putting their money, then the government is also, public fund is coming. The other way is a lot of things are coming like the green bonds. So though it's in a very nascent stage, but green bonds are there. Then development impact bonds are also coming. And I tried to explore that how is there any successful model present there. I think Vadodara municipality have experimented something on municipality development bonds, and they have raised around 100 crores of funds to build some kind of STP plants. So those kind of models can be done. Along with that, I think impact funding is also could be one example. So instead of grant, CSR right now is giving the grants for the projects. So the different model can be the outcome funding. So CSR can do the outcome funding of the projects. So for example, the initiative can be started by a consortium kind of setup. Initial funding can be raised through the bonds, and repayment can be done by the CSR funds. So it can be a different way of working, which is not there at present, but I think it will lead to impact oriented model. Right now the focus is more on the action, on the activity, and lesser on the impact. And the government reports also shows that a lot of CSR fund is coming and it's increasing year on year basis, but the impact is not that visible. So if CSR model can have a certain segment of impact oriented financing, then it can have, I think, a better impact.
Thank you. Coming to Vaibhavji, can you tell me how HCL Foundation is partnering with government, private sector and local bodies to achieve climate resilient objectives?
Right. Mostly the example I was going to give, I've already given. We have been, for the last 10 years, primarily working as somebody, as a stakeholder in the development sector, which, brings, what the government is not able to do very creatively, because, how the funding structure and the, payment structure of the government and their programs comes up, that there is at times a gap here, at times some delay there. So making sure those things, when it comes to really getting things on the ground and really operationalizing things, those things are done. One particular thing, that is what we do. We partner across the board with state governments, with municipal bodies, with different departments. Secondly, in identifying projects, right? So that is a journey that we give a lot of time and we give a lot of care. Identifying, that means spending years in a village without really that takes a lot of courage from our end, and also a lot of telling the villagers, okay, something we'll do, we are figuring out. So that figuring out phase, we take a lot of time in that, create very detailed development plans with the villages, in which we go to the root. Sir was also talking about what for the local context, what makes sense, what does not, right? So go to the root, analyze the system, then identify what is to be done, right? And we understand that the government system also brings a lot of inputs. Thirdly, what would I would like to say is a lot of leadership is required from the local government at the district level and at the at the panchayat level. There is a lot of difference between different places where we work, but if the area of development that what we are working on, the government is really involved, they are able to by themselves unlock a lot of different things, right? What we bring to the table, and that job at times has to be done by them. That X person is bringing something on the table, Y person brings other things on the table, right? And that really depends on that project design, how that particular thing in that particular location is designed, and what different actors are doing. So briefly.
Thank you very much. I think we have got some interesting ideas and opinions. So now, can we ask if anyone has any other ideas, questions, answers in the audience? Yeah, I think she's.
So this is just one of the questions which was right at the beginning, that the money into sanitation has gone down, but health has gone up. How do we connect health and sanitation? Because that's what's been happening globally in other programs which are running only for sanitation are now taking health and even nutrition and working with that. So is there something which we are doing? Is there something which we can do? That was just one of the questions, or one of the inputs.
Yeah. So we at the start of our project in Hardoi, we had partnered with Johns Hopkins University in public health, and one clear research agenda which we were not able to fund is to clarify and have that research available, where reduction in toilet use says that it implies or it causes reduction in malnourishment, causes reduction in diarrhea. वो research नहीं है, fundamental research नहीं है. अभी पता नहीं, for the last 5-6 years I have not looked at it, but if somebody has published it at that level, that would help a lot. If that fundamental research is there.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Praveen. I'm from CYDA, Center for Youth Development Activities. So I like to share some very interesting and successful model regarding the waste management in Pune, Pimpri Chinchwad Mahanagarpalika. So in Pimpri Chinchwad Mahanagarpalika, there is one Pimpri Chinchwad Mahanagarpalika. There is 4 stakeholders. One Pimpri Chinchwad Mahanagarpalika, one CSR, Ekar Power Gas, then CYDA, and Bachat Gat, self-help group women. So group of 10 women. सो चिंचवड महानगरपालिका ने लैंड प्रोवाइड किया है, दैन इलेक्ट्रिसिटी कनेक्शन, वाटर कनेक्शन प्रोवाइड किया हुआ है, दैन ट्रांसपोर्टेशन के लिए जो कुछ पैसा लगता था वो उन्होंने कन्वर्ट किया हुआ है बचत गट को ऑनरेरियम फॉर ओनली फॉर 2 and 3 years ओनली, फॉर सिर्फ के लिए. बचत गट जो है वो बचत गट बेसिकली कलेक्शन करता है, वो ट्रांसपोर्ट करता है, सेग्रीगेट करता है, उसका प्रोसेस भी कर लेता है टिल 2 o'clock तक. एंड आफ्टर 2 o'clock वो आसपास के जो कुछ भी सोसाइटीज़ है तो वहाँ से ड्राई वेस्ट, प्लास्टिक वेस्ट कलेक्ट करके लेके आता है. डेली वो लोग 900 to 1 ton प्लास्टिक कलेक्ट करके लेके आता है. अगर हमने एवरेज भी पकड़ लिया उसका तो मंथली 30 ton प्लास्टिक कलेक्ट हो जाता है, और 10 रुपये के हिसाब से पकड़ा तो 3 लाख रुपीज़ पर महीना वो अर्न हो रहा है वो मॉडल से. प्लस महानगर पालिका 1.5 लाख रुपीज़ पर मंथ उनको एज ऑनरेरियम मोर के दे रहे हैं. जो कुछ भी पैसा आ रहा है वो पैसा वो लोग वो प्रोग्राम को मॉडल वो सेटअप को और स्ट्रेंथनिंग करने के लिए यूज़ कर रहे हैं. और इसमें अब जो रोल ऑफ CSR है ओनली जो प्लांट सेटअप करना है एंड महानगर पालिका को हैंड ओवर करना है, एंड जो NGO का रोल है ओनली टेक्निकल सपोर्ट, जो आप बोल रहे टेक्निकल सपोर्ट, तो रोल ओनली टेक्निकल सपोर्ट NGO प्रोवाइड करके ऑलमोस्ट 1.5 year है जो सक्सेसफुल चल रहा है वो मॉडल, और जिसका रिजल्ट जो गवर्नमेंट भी इन्हें सेट कर रहा है, और सेम मॉडल वो पूरे महानगर पालिका में रिप्लिकेट अभी कर रहे हैं. जो 2 वार्ड में उसका प्रोसेस शुरू हो गया है, और बाकी वार्ड में भी अगले 1 week या 2 week में वो प्रोसेस शुरू हो रहा है. तो इस प्रकार का सक्सेसफुल मॉडल है जो वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट को लेके, जो सस्टेनेबल है. मंथली 3 लाख रुपीज़ भी अगर आ जाता है और 1.5 लाख रुपीज़ उन्होंने डिवाइड करके सैलरी करके ले लिया और बाकी का पैसा उसको एक्सपांशन के लिए भी यूज़ कर लिया तो भी सक्सेसफुल हो, अच्छे से चल रहा है. थैंक यू.
Namaste everyone. My name is Pradeep Sangwan. We are a small, young, crazy group based out of Himachal Pradesh, Himalayas. I've been in the space of solid waste management for last 10 years now. And one of the key challenges that we face is obviously, aggregating the waste is a difficult task considering the topography. And also the biggest challenge for us is the reverse supply chain, which is still missing somehow. Although EPR might have solved that problem, but we all know what happened there. So now, how EPR can be, aligned, realigned, maybe through some of the new policies that are coming out, especially DRS. Goa has been the first state in our country, and Himachal has also come out with a notification. We are working very closely with the state. But do you think reverse supply chain can be the, a sustainable way forward? We can find out something around reverse supply chain so that whatever we collect, segregate, aggregate and transport can become financially viable, because if it's not viable then there's no point. So yeah, something on those lines.
Yeah.
So there is a bit of dialogue that we are having with a lot of corporates around three terms that you mentioned, Shumitra ji. EPR, ESG and CSR, right? The linkage between all three sometimes blurs. And the reason it blurs is because when you think about carbon credits and you put that into the mix, then you have two circles which are actually operating in parallel, but they don't meet. One, which is that the extended producer responsibility, for example, in plastic, which requires that 100% of the virgin plastic that is used in a process has to be replaced by recycled plastic, is currently being done through carbon credits, right? So, or plastic credits, if you want to call it that, purchasing of plastic credits. So how do you reconcile the two? Because the government is asking for one thing, but actually there is a backdoor entry which is being used by a lot of corporates, to be able to meet that commitment. Now you can't blame the corporate, because at the end of the day, you don't have an extended supply chain beyond the MRF, which allows them to meet that responsibility. So isn't there a conundrum in that, in what the government is asking and what is actually being, what is actually happening on the ground?
No, even the second question is out of syllabus for me individually. But
we are trying to get the EPR.
yeah, but post this session, I would love to have a discussion with you so that I can connect you to our climate expert, because I think he would be definitely having this this linkage, because it's not that we won't be able to do it, but post this session, I would want to speak with you briefly. Right now, it is out of syllabus for me. What she
Can I just give a small anecdotal reference? See, reverse supply chain is extremely difficult, not impossible, but extremely difficult, for the simple reason that the product can be manufactured at one place, but its distribution makes it automatically dispersed. And that dispersed mechanism through which it reaches to the last mile, getting a reverse supply chain becomes very difficult. One model which has worked very well in partnership with the Uttarakhand government is the reverse vending of plastic bottles and plastic wrappers. So in the entire Uttarakhand region, with the government support, with the kind of a QR code there on every single plastic bottle that you buy, or any plastic wrapper that you buy for any chips or whatever you want to purchase, it has been connected to the local shopkeepers. They get a certain incentive out of it. There are reverse vending machines which are available that can be used. You can just go dump the plastic bottle, and your QR code on the bottle, once it has been scanned, once the bottle goes back into the vending machine, you get your 10 rupees security deposit back into your UPI account. So that kind of a incentivized reverse supply chain can be made, but I think it would require a whole lot of organizations, government, etc., to come together and work this around, because it would require a whole lot of, I would say, discipline to be done. When we did this, we realized that what happens that despite all this QR code, etc., security code there, upfront charging 5 rupees extra for the bottle, it will not work. Then what? Then also it works. Why? Because the pitthus, the khachar walas, they will pick up those bottles because they know that each bottle has got a value of 2 rupees, 5 rupees, something in that. So it's this mechanism. So reverse supply chain is not a very big scientific word. We all used to have kabadi walas coming to our homes and collecting the garbage, right? It was all going back, correct? So how do you create an incentive mechanism which can be then done at a mass scale? Then reverse supply chain can automatically be ensured.
Yeah, we experimented with that recently in Himachal Pradesh also at Mani Mahesh Yatra. So that recollection was 99%.
There you go.
Yeah.
So you have the answer.
Something that needs to be explored at the central level.
So there is a need for a lot of behavioral change also. पहले segregation ही कर ले वही बहुत बढ़िया.
Right. So I have a couple of points on this.
Right now.
Right. So couple of things I want to speak. Some technical challenges also there because we collect a lot of these marine debris. It has nylon, right? But it is mixed with a lot of salt. So we are not able to, one, sustainably, how do we take out that salt pieces? Second, there's only one way we could figure out is to incinerate the nylon, but I don't know if there is another technology people have. So certain value chains would have those certain challenges. On the EPR, I'm more of an activist. I don't, I believe that we are on the negative side of it, and some organizations, they have destroyed the ecosystem for all water bodies. You go wherever you go, you see these plastic bottles, and good responsibilities there. Then they want to continue. I've met a lot of those people. They want to continue the businesses and they are trying to improve. But it's a huge challenge, and if some coordinated effort ma'am is able to take up, that will be great. Yeah, of course. So Vicky and you guys and are could be the forefront of such a but it's a huge challenge. Everywhere you go, all national parks, all mountains, you see plastics and all these things on the ground. So I am on the other side there.
I think time is up. We'll close this session. We have got interesting ideas. I think panel members all agree that I think we'll discuss offline. So we've got interesting ideas, and one thing which panel members unanimously agreed is we need to see sanitation, water and climate in a holistic approach. We have touched upon innovative financing, necessity of good R&D in the sanitation space and all. So maybe we need to think more about this and come up with good models and good products which can improve the climate resilience. We have already, with the help of UNICEF, we have launched a climate resilient books which features the designs of various sanitation systems in flood areas, rocky areas and so on. Also, somebody has mentioned about the safety of sanitation workers also. For that also, we have given an SOP what kind of sanitation worker should have, what kind of protective equipment. Maybe I think I'm just mentioning here because maybe that will be of help to people. That is one thing. And second thing is, as you all know, and as Honorable MOJS has mentioned, Swachhata Hi Seva 2025 has started from 17 September. It will go till October 2nd. So I request you all the corporates and all, to please participate actively in the current SHS going on. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. I'll just request to wait for a second and we will have the photo of the panel members, and then we will break for the tea. Tea is outside, and we will break for 10 minutes and then we will come back.
Thank you so much.